Here's the issue. This pin right here, needs to be sticking out. What I mean by sticking out is, go ahead and pull this, comes out very easily. You pull it up and out, set it there. This will stand straight up. You turn it over, you see how it's sticking out all the way on this side? It needs to be 50-50. You need to push it.
The little pin needs to be 50-50.
This spring pin here
Correct.
needs to be 50-50. Needs to be halfway this way, halfway this way. It's not very hard. You take your mallet, you just find somewhere to put it. So even right here on the rack, to be able to tap it 50% back through.
Unless you drop it like that.
Unless you drop it. So find somewhere to secure it.
There we go.
And tap it. Come this way and show this point of view.
More.
Tap it till it's 50% through. Till it's even.
Almost.
Tiny bit more. Right there.
Good.
That's 50%. Once you're at this point, see the little springs? See the little opening of the spring pin? You need to spread those so this will no longer fail in the future. Those little grooves right there.
Spread
the way you do that, it's the same thing. Just find somewhere on your truck to put it. That'll secure it, just like that. And you just give it a few taps and it'll spread that spring pin. I'm trying to do this the easy way, but not the hard way. You can also set it, here, let's come over here. Just set it straight down. Put your screwdriver right there. You won't push the pin back through because you're on the pin. Just like that.
There we go.
See how it's spread?
Yep.
Just like that. You take it to the other side,
Do
the same thing. You spread it. This will make the repair, this particular repair, 100% foolproof. It's what Winkhaus failed to do in this process. Now they're spread and it's still 50%. I did not knock it back through. Now here's the other issue. The other issue is this came out of here. It was just in here. No, this was in here. This is where this goes. And it just sits in there. It doesn't fly out, doesn't fall apart. This goes back in here in the groove and drops on. Just like that. Simple. Nothing technical. But here's another problem. We fixed one issue that made the handle not work on one side. That's what that issue is. But here's, if you don't do this, you get another problem coming up. You need to check and make sure this is tight. And this one, unfortunately, the customer didn't make it too loose, didn't really bend it up, but a lot of times this is spread open and it makes the handle, it makes the operation loose and not catch right. So we're gonna take this and bend it closed and close that tolerance up.
So you can either tap it or use the pliers.
Yep. And so what I like to do, same thing, I just sit on a little part of the rack, just give it a couple taps.
To
close the gap a little bit.
Close the seat.
And you don't need much, so don't beat the crap out of it. Just tap it and check it. You don't want it grinding, but you want it tight. See, that's much better. That's nice. Yep. That's nice. See that clearance now? And it still moves. That's like zero tolerance.
Good.
That fixes two failures. The last failure is going to be the trigger that pops this out. This trigger becomes a hair trigger. Since we know the handing of this door, which is basically this way right here, with the way that we took it out, it's permanent now. We no longer need to hit the trigger and reverse the handing of the latch.
So right now you're gonna make it permanent on one side.
So right now I'm gonna make it permanent. And so at this point we can go ahead and put it all back together, because what we're gonna do.
So hold on. So it's important to add that you should know which side should be permanent.
Yeah,
so you don't
and the way you took it out should be the permanent side, because that's how it came out.
Don't play with it.
Right, don't play with it. Now, what we need to do is just, you see in here, there's nothing over here. This is empty real estate. That's where we're going to be putting our screw, but through this plate. So once we get this plate on, recognize that real estate. See this hole and this hole? That goes here and here. So we know in between we know right next to this hole is empty real estate. That's where we need to put our screw at to stop this trigger from being pulled. So that's where we're gonna go, is right here. Consider the thickness of this and the distance here. So this here, we're putting a screw right there.
Okay.
Pre-drill, put a screw right there. Or a rivet, either one. Whatever you want to put there to stop this trigger from being pulled is what you have to do, because if you do not do that, when you put all this back together, put the door back, when you close the door, this will pop right back out again like that.
So this right here can be a little tricky to align all the pins and everything.
See, there's something there, that one. There it is.
And then just
and you gotta check it. You gotta check this.
That works.
As you go.
Nothing's in the way.
Just gonna put a screw here just to keep that from moving around. Then over here, if it's not seating, just take a look around and see why it's not seating. And this is one reason right there.
There we go. And then that one.
And right there. And then you got one little ones. These little ones here, same thing. Just boom.
And then everything's sitting right.
And then you just double check, make sure nothing's binding. You're good.
Cool.
Remember we mentioned that distance between here and the screw? We want to be right here. This will permanently stop that trigger. But it's not easy. This is hardened stainless steel. It likes to kill self-tappers and drill bits. So just... Got it. That's a long one. We don't need that long. So we'll put a short one in.
So what size would you say? 1/4 inch?
Just maybe? 1/4 inch or 3/8 long in total.
Okay. And if it breaks,
basically it's something that doesn't go through here all the way through. You just want to stop the trigger.
And if it breaks, it's a good thing.
Yeah, if the head breaks off, you're fine. Right there. Trigger can no longer be pushed. This, look at that, no longer pops out. What was making this pop out is the trigger becomes a hair trigger. We are done, folks. Now it's time to put it back together.
So the whole log bar does have to come out before you do the repair. Pretty simple. Just a few screws.
Don't over tighten. Couple clicks after it's down. There's no one to pull away. Oh, that's the lock screw. We'll go ahead and get the top half on before we put the rest of the screws in. Now the top half, you have to make sure over here. You got to make sure the top half is fully inside. If it's out a little bit, the lock system won't work.
It's not gonna match.
It has to be inside. Those teeth have to be fully seated. So I like to hold it by here, push it up, hold it here, and then get it seated. And once you have it seated, stick it in there, take another look. See, it's all the way in. And then get your screw over here to set it so it does not move and fall back out. If you start the top screws, it'll move. There.
And then just put the rest of the screws all the way up.
Yep. On 2-panel doors, if your active panel spindle is broken, you can use the passive panel spindle and then put a solid handle spindle in your passive door. Because your passive door, once it's locked with your active panel, you cannot move the interior or exterior handle. They become basically fixed to the locking, to the deadbolt of the active panel. So this has been done, and it does work, and it's 100% perfect when you're done. This is what I mean by the washer. See that washer? That's what.
So it does the difference.
Yeah, see, they're the same spindle. The length is a little different, but it still works. But this spindle is all you need on your passive side. And the way you do that, people, is you get your spindle started
on one side. And
on one side.
Push it through.
You make a mark, you tighten it down, and you make a mark. But what I mean by mark is you put a little mark in there. Now I have to drill that out. I have to take a 1/8 drill bit and drill it out a little bit so that the screw, your spindles, your screw in there, your keeper, will sink into this bar, because this is hardened steel. If you just try to tighten this on this bar, it'll slip off after a few uses.
Back together.
There it is.
And the homeowner has to have this key. Without the key, you cannot fix it. So they have to have either the original key or a copy of the original key.
You put your retainer in. This basically makes it so your lock's not loose. See? Makes your lock rigid.
Yeah, I used it like a month ago, maybe. But then it wouldn't work like right before the blessing way. I had to have like Allie brought hers. It was
Side plate.
I need to get on my knees here. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going back and forth. Would you think I should just buy one? Yeah.
You got to make sure you have full spin out of these, and that these are facing the same direction, which is down. So that's where the screw bites into. So down, and you go like this. You check this, and you go one full turn. Then you check it with your handle if you want.
Both facing down.
Right. Basically, you can check it just by going like this to see if you have full handle throw. You know, put it on there, so you have full handle throw. It doesn't bind and doesn't go like this and hit the other spindle. So make sure they're both face down.
And one turn.
And then turn this like that until you know you have full handle throw. And right there. And this goes in.
It's probably better just to get a new one. I should go to Sears. I'll go to Sears
like that.
Ace has one on sale for $250.
See, I moved right there. Right there, it's seated all the way. Don't put the handle in here first, you might pull it out a little. Do your outside handle first.
I like the bag, but yeah. I guess 10 years is
Stop the
probably...
video. Done.
You want to come back in? There we go. That's how it's supposed to work.
Remember, it would always unlock from outside so you can get out from a fire or emergency.
That's so exciting.